global payments platform PlaySafe's report, over half of consumers worldwide have changed their spending habits from just a year ago. So Bob Letger, Senior VP of Product at PlaySafe, joins me now, or PaySafe, I should say, joins me now with more. It seems like, we're not playing anymore when it comes to our money. Maybe that's why I've got that on the brain, Bob. But yeah, we want to make sure we're paying safe. So tell us more about the survey and some of its key findings.
Yeah, it was a global survey done across Europe and the UK, Latin America, and North America of 14,500 consumers. And you're spot on. We're not playing anymore when it comes to our money. Like the number of choices that consumers want, the way they're spending money, how they're tracking their spend. Really, the average consumer has really upped their game on staying involved in that and being really conscious of how that's working.
Yeah, so why do you think consumers' spending habits have changed so much in the last year?
Well, some of the survey results, 70% of consumers said they're spending more on groceries, and that's globally. That's not just domestically. And so naturally, whenever one expense goes up, your budget has to be adjusted, and so you start focusing in and really paying attention to where your money's going. And so we see while those expenses are going up, there's still a lot of focus on entertainment and event-based activity and spending, and so consumers are starting to segment their money into different payment methods so that they can manage the budget across payment methods, whether you have a digital wallet that you use for online purchasing and a debit card that you use for everyday transactions. Those are all things that consumers are really kind of focused on. I think where we're seeing interesting trends are a lot more consumers are doing investing versus saving. So savings is down to an average of about 7% across the consumers surveyed, where investing is going way up, even with like Gen Z, it being over 80% of Gen Z are making investments. And so while they're saving for things like homes, which was a big statistic in the report, they're also making investments looking to make their money do more for them. And so we're seeing that engagement affect, how the regular budget works.
Yeah, did you see any other differences, though, between the generations in terms of spending and saving?
The interesting things around AI, of course, the younger consumers tend to be, and the younger generations tend to be more acceptant of AI being a part of their payment mechanisms, whether that's a part of the wallet or the ads and the deals that they get presented with. Where the older consumers in Gen X or the boomers are less likely. About 30% would be your comfort level, and everybody above that is less comfortable with the AI being involved in that process. So we saw that difference. One of the other differences is, that about a third of the consumers are comfortable leaving the home without a wallet, a physical wallet, actually with their phone and the digital wallet in their phone being their only payment mechanism. And that tends to be in the younger generations as well, where the older generation is more concerned. I think 70% of boomers and Gen X are concerned that they won't be able to use cash because of the big push to cashless in a lot of venues and places like that. I know right in Jacksonville, cashless events are growing more and more.
Yeah, definitely. And I will admit, I'm one of those who loves to pull out my phone and pay that way. It is such a convenience for me. So what can consumers do, though, to be sure that their payments are safe?
Well, security is still number one across all the years that we've been doing this, and any of the discussions that we've had, both on the merchant side as well as the consumer side. Security is number one. So always make sure that if you're sharing your financial information, if you're sharing it with a merchant that you're not frequenting very often, you should be using a digital wallet or a payment device that protects that. Like you said, pulling out the phone is easy and convenient. Setting up the payment information in a wallet is something that you should do with only trusted digital wallets. So make sure it's somebody that you've done some research on and you can validate. Make sure that your information is never shared beyond you, because the transaction is just one step in time, but it's always there. Meaning that if you share your information with a merchant, it doesn't have to be today that fraud happens. It can be later. So making sure that you're only sharing information with the merchants that you trust. So you might be getting coffee every morning at the same location and using your debit card. That's great. But if you're making a purchase online and it's one time over an 18-month period where you're buying, one product, that's maybe not somebody that you want to give your payment card information to. Using a digital wallet's a great alternative for that.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. Where can we go, though, if we want a little bit more?
If you go to paysafe.com, you can get the information on the report. And if you want to learn about digital wallets, you can go to Skrill, Skrill.com. And so we're right there in Jacksonville with you. So we love to put this kind of information out, and really, really glad to get some time with you today.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you so much for joining me. I'll be checking that out. And everyone at home, if you'd like to see this interview again, just head to First Coast News Plus.